rite of passage is back and it is better than ever. Starting February 16th this year, you'll get to enter to try and get your chance to make XGS. With just a $50 entry fee, you get direct invite to our round robin stage where it is best of threes for every game, making sure every single chance, every game, every round has the most meaning possible. The best teams in the round-robin group stage will make it on to our single elimination playoffs, where they can fight for not only a chance for the lion's share of a $1,000 plus grand prize, but also a chance, a direct invite to the next season of XGS. Signups close February 13th, just 3 days before the event actually starts, so make sure you gather your teammates, friends, and sign up, because this is your chance to make a name in the scene. Are you ready? Find out here.
Welcome back to Season 8 of XGS. I'm Alios, being joined by Zero. Today is Playday number 4. We're in the main season now. We're out of that Swiss stage, which means the stakes are a lot more real now for all of these teams that are left, including our 2 contestants tonight, BallSac Nation and Karn & Co.
Yeah, no, this is a little bit of a throwback. If you've been around the scene for any time, probably a year, maybe a year and a half, or like Kelsey has here, you've been around the scene for at least a good 5 to 10 years. Now, these are 2 names that you've probably heard of before, BallSac Nation and Karn & Co., and 2 rivals in JJ and Karn. So this is going to be a game of straight back and forth, long sort of history, and a bit of a rivalry where JJ has been the victor for a little bit too long if you are Karn.
Yeah, JJ has definitely had a lot more recent success than Carnage, as he did qualify for Pro League in the Challenger Series last year, where he played under Envy for 2 stages, although now they're down here in Xenon, and we're back on our old stomping ground again versus Karn & Co., who is kind of the other iconic North American T2 IGL. But let's take a look at these rosters, starting with Karn & Co., which is Exige & Co., I guess, according to our producers. So we got, I would say, the third really iconic IGL from NAT2, which is Exige, who's been around for a while, notably on Shoobs, but we also have a couple other names that I think are interesting on this roster, notably Raid Bullies, who is a player that I'd never really heard of before Element 6, but when I casted him on his team Moneyball, I believe it was, he was very, very solid. He had a lot of playmaking ability, a lot of mechanical skill, and I do think that given a team that has the structure to take advantage of that, he could potentially be a weapon that is going to bulldoze whatever is in front of him. And I would say that these players are absolutely going to be capable of doing that, provided JJ & Co. doesn't get in the way too much.
Yeah, no, Raid is this new up-and-comer. He is a young gunner, but depending on the map, he can be shut down. We kind of see him struggle on more maps like Fortress, or maybe another map we might be seeing tonight. But if you can give him on like Chalet or Club, or a map that's really kind of more known throughout, he does really like to fly off, and we've seen him do so far in XGS.
So now let's go over to the other side of the coin. For those of us who've been around for a little bit longer, we might call this roster JJ & Co., but I believe they're playing under BallSac Nation right now. And there are a lot of very familiar faces on this team. Obviously, JJ, he's kind of the player this is named after. Snake, who was on Envy inside of Pro League. And then Ions, who won Element 6, I believe, and has been very, very solid for a long time. And then Rival, who is also on that Envy roster, along with Satex, who's a pretty solid fragger, I would say. He's kind of been around the scene for a while. I actually remember watching him play competitive games before I was even a competitive player, all the way back in the 30s, if you can believe that. So, have most of a Pro League team here versus a lot of more established with some newer T2 players, which is the potential for a very interesting, pardon the pun, rivalry.
Yeah, no, for sure. JJ versus Karn. It's a history well known. And these are two teams full of a lot of high T2 and even some T1 talent. So this is a game of very high level siege with back and forth. Who knows what we're gonna get. But let's see where we're going into these map bans. Banning out Lair and Fortress as the first two newer maps. But we're going to Consulate in the end, which is a map that both these teams know fairly well, with JJ and BallSac Nation not really liking this map. They like to ban this map out a lot, so it's interesting to see why they've let Karn and Co. take them there.
I mean, generally, you don't let an opponent take you to a map if you are unconfident in it, and I mean, JJ does have a lot of reason to be confident against Karn. As I said before, he definitely has had more success in Tier 2 and Tier 3 than Karn. As he placed second place in the Crucible last year, he won the Challenger Series, obviously, and he very nearly made it to the close qualifiers or made it to the playoffs, rather, for the North American League, which meant he would have been in contention for the major, right? So JJ has not only had more success than Karn, but he's had a lot of opportunity to develop his craft at a much higher level than Karn. Playing a game day in the North American League against Oxygen or Dark Zero is really going to grind you against the pavement in a way that T2 never really will, especially since he played a game with the NAL playoffs on the line. He was literally one round away, if I recall, from making it there at some point. And so that builds experience, and that is something that he's going to be able to bring into this, especially since two of his teammates, Snake and Rival, are on this team with him now, who were there with him before.
Yeah, no, these are very veteran players who have played at the highest level possible. So now coming over to this, back in their old stomping grounds of XGS, this is going to be a game that's going to show, is that T1 talent really able and T1 experience really able to show up over these T2 teams? Or are we going to see an upset from Karn here?
But I guess either one is possible. We're going to start things up on this top floor. So that'll be the first indication, potentially, this round of where we could be going. And I want to draw attention to that cap can, because cap can is an operator that I really like, because it kind of forces you to really dot your T or dot your I's and cross your T's. And that's the kind of thing that XG really likes to do, right? He likes to throw these curveballs into his play and do things that are a little bit obtuse to force his opponents to really be on guard and to punish them for mistakes that they make. So there's a lot of potential in this pick, depending on what BallSac Nation go for.
Yeah, BallSac Nation, from what it looks like, they're trying to find the early info on this CEO side and really just try and say, you know what, we're going to want to hit this quick. You see the Glass, you see the Mario, you see the Nomad, you see the Grim, and Util's starting to go out.
Could potentially have a pretty interesting strategy set up here, something we've seen quite a lot before, although the Buck could really have an impact here if he's able to clear things out. Jade is going to try to go into the site physically now, but Fenrir and Smoke are going to make that quite difficult. He's going to have to back off as a result, but we do still see the rest of Karnico are focused on other areas. Z just only focused on Snake, though, before JJ gets a refrag. Deity's killed off by Rival as well. That's going to make things a lot easier for Karn and Co. Or for BallSac Nation, rather, is going to see a player down below. JJ's in the site again. They really want to try to pressure this out as much as they can. This is a dangerous proposition for JJ to stay in there too long, but Ions makes it a little bit easier. And now Toaster's going to try to go down below and grab these two players while Zonky has to fight the site itself. With the shotgun that JJ has, ever so dangerous. Toaster, though, he's also dangerous in his own right, but so is Satex. Now Zonky's left in 1 versus 3. He has to try to stop this plant, but JJ has that shotgun in close range. That could be exactly what he needs. Back and forth, bob and weave, but Ions is the one that tags him in the end as JJ and Co. BallSac Nation take the first round.
Yeah, no, Karn had the setup in place to really defend it out. They had the util. But BallSac Nation really just was really good about baiting the util out and getting that underneath pressure, which didn't allow for Karn to really contest the plan as the went late. And it just really struggled. You saw JJ kind of just sitting on that window, baiting around with the shotgun and stuff, and not being able to really do much, as he's just going to constantly be able to swing and get the needed. That they just were not ready for him to be there, and great hold by them on just making sure you couldn't swing him either. So really just a big power position that they were just holding and not able to win it out. So now the rotate comes through. Would we see something similar, even if it is a basement hold?
And it is a site that does demand a little bit of a different take just by virtue of the fact that CEO window no longer exists. But that coordination that BallSac Nation showed, I'd say definitely is something that could come in handy here if they're able to get themselves into position. As it looks like we're going to see a little bit of a roam coming out from the defenders here, as we have three players actually up top, those being Zonky, Deity, and Raid. We're all going to be playing this pretty aggressive web, which JJ and Co. are going to have to cut through if they really want to get to the site, or if they could potentially cut it off. That works just as well.
Yeah, and you can see Rival kind of prepping there. It looks like they're wanting to try and take this back server side quickly, as they're placing all of their util. They're all kind of running for this, like almost admin over you normally would see. They're all kind of going for this visa over. They're looking to go these hatches, where JJ's just going to have a line on the wall ready for whenever his team does go to take that backside. He's going to be there for this backstab just to really punish these defenders who aren't going to give him any peace of mind.
So we do see here that Diddy is kind of aware that there might be something going on towards that backside, as is Raid, so they're going to link up a little bit and just see what they can do. JJ himself, though, is over by Garage. There is some pressure on both sides of the site here. JJ exerts a ton onto Exceed, who falls as a result. That gives a little bit of free reign to the players on JJ and Co. to try to get a little bit more done here. In fact, JJ's going to try to make himself a way into the site on this side. It's almost going to cost him his life. But the fact that he's lived after doing this, the no calls going out, it means they can try to move off of this. And the Monty is going to force these players out of position. And Snake's going to kill another one that's trying to go for the flank. They know where all these players are. They know they're separated. Now Toaster has to fight the whole side on his own. He's gonna get one kill. The first ability that he needs, but the Monty makes his life hell. And now Zonky has to run all the way down yellow stairs, try to get back to the site as soon as he can, but the diffuser's already gone down, and you have to fight the Monty inside of a post plant. They know where he is. All eyes are trained on that location, and he has to be worried about a flank. There's a player walking at him yellow, two players walking at him yellow, one of which is Snake, who gets the kill, as JJ and Co. take a second round in a row.
Yeah, and that was such a beautiful strategy by BallSac Nation that Karn and Co. didn't have any idea what was going on. You had JJ on the main wall, you had the server side backside, and you had such a beautiful roam clear that Karn and Co. didn't have any answers of anything that was going on. You couldn't get any pressure on the roam over in that visa side. You couldn't get any pressure onto JJ when he's just kind of sitting behind that reinforced wall, and you're not able to do anything about it, just making those holes and making your life hell, while the Monty decides to just walk you down one by one and get every single pick necessary. Ions being such a strong pivotal position, and we're seeing two shields. Oh, sorry, they like to correct me as I like to make this point. We're just going to see Satex sitting on that Blackbeard now instead of the Monty we saw the round previously. So we're constantly going to be seeing the shield out of BallSac Nation, really seeing how powerful shields are in the current meta.
10 seconds left.
I really like shields, and especially a team that's good at playing them. Is good to see the Monty leave us here, but that Blackbeard is going to stay, being taken up by Snake. And it looks like with this lineup, we're going to see JJ and Co. switch things around a little bit from what they did in that first round. Instead of going for that very CEO-focused take where they had the buck down below or planted on the window, now they want to take things over from admin side, which means that any preparations that Karn and Co. might have done while looking over at the other side they're not going to work nearly as well with this new plan. Now, there's going to be something prepared for this take that JJ want to do, but is that going to be enough, or were they expecting something different?
Yeah, and they're kind of prepping for this. You have all of these Karn defenders pressuring over to this admin side, not allowing for BallSac Nation to give any pressure. You see them trying to go for these repel ins, and it could cost them their lives.
See a lot of players inside of the building now, however, which means that there is some pressure being exerted by that Blackbeard. Ion's worse for wear, though. Rival is never worse for wear. That gun skill is exactly what JJ and Co need. Look at how far up Snake is pushing. There's already so much pressure being exerted onto the site itself, and that's something JJ and Co can leverage, especially while being a man up.
Yeah, no, they have the pressure needed. Karn are still not allowing them to gain any extra space. They're kind of giving a little bit of a player hold. So if they take a little bit of space, cool, we're just going to push a little bit back, hold a little bit deeper. That's all good. But not really letting them settle into this. And Ions is going to go down, not prepared for the window hop out.
It's a great pick from Deity. Evening that up is massive. It makes the Blackbeard a little bit less effective, but he's still trying to gun people down. And he's actually in a spot where he could try to plant the diffuser. That's exactly what he's going to do. But Toaster's going to take care of Rival. They have to get off the diffuser. Everyone on JJ and Co are falling by the wayside, one by one. It's all left up to Snake and Satex. Deity is only about 1 HP, so he could be killed off. Snake, what a good shot. He's made things a little easier, but Toaster's going to take him out. And now Satex has it all to do, but he can't find anything. Because Karn and Co locked them out of the sights.
Yeah, and Karnico doing such a great job with all of the util. We saw it there, the Finner, the Denari, constantly making them have to burn util, find things, and just delaying as much time as possible. Really, now that BallSac Nation is going to have to go for this last second execute. They have the spots needed, but they aren't able to punish. They aren't able to take the space that they want, and they're constantly just getting hit right back in the face as they try and walk up. But we're seeing the Monty come out. We see the Monty ban. That makes sense, especially with how much they're raining these shields. We've seen the Monty, we've seen the Blackbeard. They do not want to deal with that anymore. For BallSac Nation, they just get rid of the Bandit. They want to be able to take these walls for free and not have to deal with the Kite or the Bandit that we've seen Karnico use to just delay as much time as possible and not allow for them to walk up.
I do like the Bandit ban overall, and honestly, I think both of these bans are really effective. They do kind of target specific things that either the other team's using really well in the case of Karn and Co's ban, or things that will just make your life a little bit easier in the case of the Bandit ban from BallSac Nation. And judging by this lineup we're seeing, they want to use that to go pretty damn fast, right? You see a Blitz, you see things show up on the wall, you see the Lion. That could enable something very, very, very quick if they can get that wall open quickly enough that Karnico don't see it coming.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Yeah, and we've seen them do that. We saw it the first round. We saw them do it kind of on that second round where they kind of went for that whole backside take. They took the space really early and then kind of slowed it down towards the mid round to allow for them to kind of set up more about how they wanted to take it. But JJ, again, just going straight for that garage wall, while the rest of his team is going for that same kind of similar backside server side take that is going to allow for his team to really be able to put the pressure on Karnico if they are not prepared.
See JJ take a little bit of damage early on. Raid wants to try to find something over on this Visa side. We see yet again there's a lot of emphasis being placed on this backside. Blitz is going to try to take it pretty quickly. He's going to skulk down those stairs. They do have to be worried about players getting inside of Visa. So Snake's going to look to cut that off just a little bit. Well, there's also pressure being exerted over towards places like main entrance, just so JJ and Co can kind of stop any flanks from happening that would halt their push.
Yeah, Raid's in such a good and powerful position, kind of playing around those tellers and spiral side, just not allowing for BallSac Nation to really get any space comfortably. But we're going to see Raid get flashed out and just have to run away, but Toaster has his hold. And now BallSac Nation has taken all of that space that was so crucial for Raid to hold.
We see them pressuring the basement with this as well. And they have used up all their lion scans at this point, but they know about where the defenders are by this point. And if they could prevent a flank, then JJ and Co are in a pretty solid position, so long as they can actually break the site hold. And that is an easier thing said than done. They have pressure a little bit all over. A player on the hatch, a player on the garage wall, players on the backside. So that might not be an issue, but something has to act as a battering ram so they can get into the site. Rival wants to do that by opening up this construction wall, but DD's gonna kill Snake. That's a massive pick. And he's gonna try to press for a little bit more. He's gonna get a second one onto Satex before he's killed off by Rival. XGS gets another as well, so does Raid. And that is 2 rounds in a row where JJ and Co are shut out completely.
We saw Raid there doing such a great job on that roam that they had to burn out so much time in util to clear them out. We saw them burn flashbangs after nades, after using all 3 lion calls just to figure out where Raid was and clear him out because he is such a threat when he is not taken care of. We've seen him be this high-flying gunner that they are scared to walk him. They don't know where he is, and they're trying to use so much util to clear him out that it's causing their attacks to really become stagnant even. They're not taking the space that they need, and it's 2 rounds in a row now that we've seen it time after time. They are not taking the space that they need in the time they need, and it's coming back to bite them, especially as these late round executes come through. They don't have any room to stand on, and it's coming back to bite them hard.
We're gonna go down to Piano this time, which the first time we've seen a tertiary site come out this game is kind of the first time the Karn have needed one. And this is a site that is interesting, as when most sites that are kind of on the mid floor are, since there is the necessity to take both ground above the site and the site itself. So BallSac Nation are going to really have to make sure that they're efficient with their time usage this round, and make sure they don't throw any lives away too soon. And XSiege wants to make that a little bit more difficult by playing that cap can again. Although we see here that actually, it's just a rush onto the site potentially. As Zonky's gotten in, he's gotten 2 kills onto the BallSac Nation players. We do see that Ions is trying his best to make this even. He's gotten 3 kills so far, if you count that down. Single-handedly carrying this attack for BallSac Nation. Now Raid is gonna try to fight the demon, the Raid boss, but he's getting it down. He's even got the diffuser. He can try to get this plant down in just a second here, provided they know where this last defender is. Toaster has everything to stop. He has it all to do. Now the plant is being put on the floor here, but JJ gonna steal the ace from his teammate. The 4 kills alone on the Blitz is impressive. And JJ and Co take their lead back.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know how to describe that round, if I'm being blunt with you there. Because what do you mean that Zonky's going to get the first 2? It's a rage. But then you have just, what is it? Ions, who's just going to go crazy on a shield out of nowhere, and they're not going to hold a cross on him. He gets 1 after another, and they just aren't able to do anything about it. And Ions going crazy. We've seen him on these shields before. We've seen him be this shield menace. And there it is, another round where Karn get that first pick. They get a 2. But Ions just says, I don't care about any of that. I'm going to 1v4 you on site, and there's nothing you're going to be able to say or do to stop me on that. And Ions is feeling himself this game, being that carry that BallSac Nation is really going to need whenever those shields, how strong they've been, are constantly coming through.
10 seconds left.
Now, Blitz is scary with the ability to use the pistol like that, but it makes him so much scarier. Although, granted, he does also have the flashes, which make the pistol a lot easier to use, since if your opponent is blinded, you're not, then it can be a little bit of a hydrogen baby versus coffin bomb situation. Because yet again, we see a lot of these JJ players are kind of scrunched together in the first little bit, is it looks like they're trying to focus on the CEO window again. Although I would guess that from the positioning of some of these players, like Rival, they're probably also going to have some pressure in other areas just to prevent some rotations.
Yeah, no, for sure. And their Ions is scared again about that kind of play. He got jumped out on before from this breach, and he's scared of it happening again. As it looks like they're trying to maybe go for this really present window. I couldn't really describe it as the bomb is trying to go down.
They're already in the site, but JJ, after Ions gets the first one, is going to fall pretty quickly. That puts the diffuser on the ground. Snake is also in quite a bit of danger, as all of his teammates are falling around him. It's now Snake and Rival are in a 2 versus, well, make that a nothing versus 3 as Karn and Co clean up the rest of these players. They get in the site fast, but they can't really do anything with it without much map control to support it.
Yeah. No, they had all the util. You saw them dropping it out. You saw them go for the quick play, but they weren't prepared for Karn and Co to be expecting it. We've seen BallSac Nation kind of go for these quick plays constantly. We saw the rush last round. We saw the rush on the first round. And we've seen them constantly try and take space in a very fast-paced manner. And Karn and Co almost had it in the back of their mind, like, hey, be careful. Watch for something fast again. We've seen them constantly run it. Let's see if they'll try for it again. And sure enough, Red BallSac Nation like a book, and we're just ready for the explosion on site and completely shut him out.
I mean, even that first rush play that really worked on piano, I mean, let's be real, that was Ions. Right, that was kind of Ions being the Superman of the round and really enabling that round, since the rush in most cases would die on arrival, since Zonky just killed 2 people that tried to rush into the site. Although, the 3-3 attacking half is something that I don't think BallSac Nation should frown upon. As Consulate is a map that is very difficult for the attackers, especially if the defenders are at all competent, which I would say that Karn and Co are. So, going into this defensive half, that does give BallSac Nation quite a bit of wiggle room if they need it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Having that 3-3 split is really big, especially in a defense like this, on a map like this, right? You have Console, which is known to be a very defender-sided, but we've seen multiple games on this map where attackers will win 5 rounds on both halves, right? So we've seen this map be very attacker-sided if there are really strong attacking teams. And these are 2 top teams that have been around for so long that we could see this map be a very attack-side consulate if we aren't expecting it.
See that Siege also likes the Blackbeard quite a bit, so he's going to borrow some of Snake's notes here. As we're going to see Karn and Co start by immediately knocking on the door of admin side, which does give them an opportunity to get a solid foothold inside of the building before they really try to go for a lot of these later steps they're going to need to go for if they want to get this tank going, but they're not quite able to get in yet until client scans go out, everything else goes out, and Snake goes down. Siege is also down, but it doesn't really look like there's anyone in a position to capitalize. There's a player inside of Coffin is making the attackers' lives difficult. He has some backup as well. They don't look like they have a great position to get rid of Rival, but Didi's just going to get rid of JJ instead before Ions tags on for one. So now there's a lot of ground the BallSac Nation have to make up here, given that they've lost 2 bodies to Karn and Co's 1.
Yeah, but you almost have to look at who Karn and Co lost. You lost your ace, you lost your hard breach, where if you're BallSac Nation, your smoke was able to get out dodge, your L was able to get out dodge, which are great for these later rounds as the round seems to progress, right? You still have 2 smoke canisters that you didn't lose. You have impacts to help deal with this Blackbeard, who you know got down and is now just a 1 impact away. Plus, you have all this util that you have to play off of. You have the Goyo canisters, the Aruni gates, and you probably still have some of these Elemines scattered around that Karn and Co are going to have to clear if they aren't ready for it. And it looks like they're just going to have to constantly clear out, and the time is burning away from them. And if they're not careful, the round will be over quick.
Zaki is going to get a pick onto Rival, however, which is going to make things a little bit easier. Gonna free him up to walk up spiral stairs. Satex has to try to fight that angle. And Ions could try to help him, but That's easier said than done. XG just gonna say no, however, leaving it just up to Satex. He gets one before Zonky kills him off. And now we see the lead in the favor of Karn & Co. for, I believe, the first time in this game.
Yeah, no, they have been constantly on that back foot all game long. BallSac Nation has had their number. They lose one round, then they lose another, then they kind of grind it back a little bit, and now they're finally back into the lead, finally pushing it over that edge. And that was just another strong attack we've seen out of these teams. This is constantly showing out of who is the better attacking team so far in this map, and really, are you able to bounce back? As now, BallSac Nation are going from a completely different style of, oh, we're going to burn out a bunch of util, to, hey, we're going to just roam really heavily, and you're going to have to try and clear us out from above if you're not careful. But I don't think Karn & Co. will be too scared with that, as they're bringing out the right ops to do it. You see the Deimos, which was banned last half. Never mind. Freyd's going to say we're going to go with the Ram instead. And you're seeing the Blackbeard as well. So they're going to be ready for this roam clear. They're going to be able to take the vert. And they're not going to allow for BallSac Nation to really do what they did really well on that roam and delay a bunch of time.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb. The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
So we'll see how that is done, if that is the what Karn & Co. want to go for. JJ wants to go for a spawn peek as the smoke, which is something that I find is either hilarious if it works, hilarious if it doesn't work, or completely uneventful if they just walk away before anything happens, like we just saw. But it doesn't kill anyone, but it does kind of apply some pressure a little bit, right? That feeling that any window could be occupied by a boogeyman, which if you played old Consulate, it was a genuine fear that you just kind of had to have constantly, especially when that balcony used to be, the catering balcony used to be a lot bigger than it is now. We're seeing XG start to open things up. Raid's gotten into the building as well. Karn & Co. want to set up, it looks like, to tackle this roam head on.
Yeah, we see them going for a lot of this roam clear as they're opening up this backside wall. And Exige and Toaster, that duo that we've kind of seen and known all the way back into Shoobs, they're just taking this space for free with no pressure coming back from BallSac Nation as they're just running it down. And it looks like we might just see a quick server side take and ignore these roamers above. And BallSac Nation aren't prepared for this.
We do see that Raid is, at least last we saw, holding on to Visa through the window. So his goal is to try to kill anyone from BallSac Nation that looks to go for a flank. Rival is going to lurk in this corner here and kind of hope that people don't really check for him properly. Although it looks like Raid actually is moving quite a bit, he might try to go for a backstab or try to walk down a different staircase, which could give some really nice external pressure to this take that Karn & Co. want to go for. JJ's going to kill him, however, as he was expecting that. Ions gets another one as well. Rival's going to spring into action, kill off the Blackbeard, get a second as well, and then he's going to get a 3K from that one corner. Rival, all that you need when he has that positioning.
Yeah, and Karn & Co., you had the right idea, but unfortunately, BallSac Nation had it read. They knew what they were kind of going for, and they kind of swallowed up the whole. Karn & Co., they took all of that space over in servers, but BallSac Nation really just kind of surrounded it almost like a web. They kind of just slowly just inched away around and kind of just swallowed it up. On that execute, when everything started flying, the time went low. JJ's going to go for this run out, kill Raid, who's supposed to be this new up-and-comer, and really just punish you all the way through. And Karn & Co. have to figure out something. You can't be letting these rounds slip through your fingers, especially when you've set up all the space. You know where you want to do, but you kind of just let it fizzle out after you took that open space and let BallSac Nation just return it right back at you.
10 seconds left.
Now we're back up to the top floor here, which is
5 seconds to insertion.
a fairly similar trajectory to what we saw Karn & Co. take last half, although they did it after losing 2 rounds in a row, whereas
Defuse a bomb.
BallSac Nation have won their second round on the defense. And now they have a lot more extended over towards admin. 2 players are physically inside of admin right now. And we're going to see Raid really start looking at Visa entrance. Which means he's probably going to try to walk up the stairs if he can, while the rest of his teammates pressure the admin windows. Which could give an interesting avenue into that area if that is what Karn want to leverage again.
Yeah, and BallSac Nation are using the util really strong, as Raid is going to do the thing you said exactly, just run up the Visa stairs, and is going to pick the smoke off from JJ, which is a really big loss if you are BallSac Nation on delaying the time, especially when that looks to be their whole strategy of burning as much time away as possible and not allowing for them to take the space that they want.
They've taken a lot of space up here after taking that man. That means that Checkers is going to be the next thing that really needs to be fought here, and that's going to be Ions in that position, who is tasked with trying to keep Karn at bay. Looks like right now a strategy to do so is just to chill out a little bit, maybe see if they'll mistrone him. Although if XGS does look to drone that corner, then that could potentially spell his death if Karn have a good response.
Yeah, it looks like they know he's there. We see Zonky on that roof kind of holding it down if he tries to make that run back, and they know he's there. So now he's going to get punished as Deity grabs him off the board. And Karn are going to look for a plant here.
Yeah, Deity is in a good position to do that. We see the rest of these players trying to back him up as well. Toaster's going to kill Snake after Satex kills Deity. Now they're trying to get over to where the diffuser was. Rivals almost killed off by Toaster if it weren't for some whiff shots, but Raid is still there. Now it's all left up to Satex. Blackbeard's trying to come at him. They're all trying to come at him. They haven't managed to kill him yet, but diffuser is reclaimed. And XGS just gonna plant it before Raid walks in, kills 3 people, and ends the round for Karn & Co.
Yeah, if you're Karn & that's big. You need that. You got to extend this lead. You don't want to let BallSac Nation into this game, especially getting 2 attacks off rip. The first split going to the attackers happens sometimes. You know, we've seen it time and time before. But now BallSac Nation, they can't go to that basement site now. So now they're going to have to go to at least one more defense before going back to that defense that they won. And we're seeing that BallSac Nation are scared of these shields. They don't like it. They used it really well. And now they're seeing it come back and it used against them. They're like, nope, we don't want to deal with that. Where Karn & banging out the valve, gets rid of the info from BallSac Nation and allows for them to kind of take space more freely without having to worry about all of their positions being known and really having to lose all of this util.
Now on to piano, which is... But it's a site that could sing any number of tunes depending on how both of these teams look to play this. But on sites so far where BallSac Nation haven't been able to fall back on that basement, it just hasn't really worked out for them. And for a number of different reasons. And that's... I think one of them definitely has to be that the confidence from these players on Karn & Co. It's going to be soaring by this point, right? I mean, we saw how Raid was doing his little key movements inside of that end round kill cam last round. He's feeling himself. He walked up a staircase and just killed the guy last round. And then he killed 2 more guys after that. He's positive now for the first time this game. That's going to help him feel a lot better, especially when his team around him is also doing really well.
Yeah, no, Raid is someone that if he gets going, he is a menace to the server. And if you're BallSac Nation, you need to find a way to shut him down. Do not let him start to get this hot hand that we're starting to see him have now, because that could be the end of this game if you're not careful. Because it looks like they're just trying to eliminate some info. They're going for a little bit of a roam clear over on this Visa side. And it looks like they know kind of where Snake's position is, as they're trying to just clear him out below and really trying to get that man advantage. Getting that man advantage early, clearing the space, and really doing everything you need to really set yourself up to take this map point and really take home the win.
Deity is going to get the opening kill, however, which, I mean, the tally so far, has, unless I've been tracking it wrong, been pretty much in the favor of Karn and Co. But look at XG's position. If this isn't expected, it could be massive, but Snake is waiting for that exact thing. And that's going to even up the man count. The diffuser or anything like that isn't lost by Karn and Co., but losing that man count could be devastating if BallSac Nation are able to play their cards right.
Yeah, no, Karn and Co are just kind of slowly taking the space. Losing that pick to Snakes kind of gives you a little bit more info on where they are, but it's not something you want to lose, especially losing all those names as you try and go for the site execution. With the site that's chosen, it's a very soft destruction site that JJ might come back to bite him if they don't know or they don't see him in this position, can come back and get some kills.
Ions is also in a pretty weird position up top here, and, well, Toaster has no idea. So now, the script has been flipped on its head, and BallSac Nation are in charge, and that actually makes JJ's position a little bit more doable with the added man advantage. Satex is going to fall, but Snake, yet again, in a rat corner, gonna get the refrag before JJ gets one on to Zonky, leaving Raid alone in a 1 versus 3. He almost kills off JJ before JJ narrowly escapes. There are 15 seconds left, and Raid doesn't have the diffuser. He might get a condolence kill here onto Ions, who is over inside of reception, who really wants this fight with Raid. That's not going to do anything, as, well, it doesn't even get it, and there were only about 3 seconds left.
Yeah, no, JJ and Co coming back and kind of being like snakes in the grass. No pun intended. A snake gets 2 just from being in these weird positions where you're not expecting him to be and coming back and biting you. That's 2 picks. You lost Exige early, and then you lost Deity on that refrag where you're not expecting him. He's kind of just kind of slithering around and will just bite you when you're not expecting him. And that is really rough for Karn and Co. As you've taken the main advantage, you had the space, and you were finally getting back into the round. Those are 2 picks you desperately did not need to lose.
Right, we're BallSac Nation, right? If they get the ball rolling, it will roll very, very, very far. All of these players are not necessarily entirely emotional based. In fact, I mean, most of them are Pro League players, and can't really get away with being like that inside of Pro League unless you want to be on Mirage, in which case I have news for you. But they are definitely players that will benefit from just being able to gain momentum, being able to swing things in their favor a couple times in a row does just give them that extra little bit of confidence that can really unlock a new level of mechanical talent that can be a very formidable thing to deal with. And JJ is going to demonstrate that. He kills Toaster. That's your Thermite. That's your diffuser carrier. The walls now are going to stay closed unless there is a miracle that can be pulled out.
I just don't think there is, and now BallSac Nation is starting to catch those hot hands. We see JJ, after losing that pick to Raid on a few rounds previously, he's kind of starting to heat up. He's had these rounds where he's starting to kind of get into it a little bit, and now Karn will have to find some way to bounce back, to get their momentum back in their favor, and really kind of wake up. Because Exige, Toaster, we see them struggling, and that's really rough if you are Karn and Co. Kind of these 2 players who are a little bit newer to the stack, having these rough games.
There's a knife kill from Snake somehow. Rival is killed off, which makes things a little bit easier, but I mean, look at what JJ and Co are doing. They're feeling good. They're feeling happy. They've fallen back to the site. They are playing with a lot of discipline here because they don't want to let the ball get kicked back into their court. But they are taking it to its logical conclusion. Snake is still up above, or no, he's down below, and he's causing problems for the attackers. Zatex wants a fight over by service stairs, and in fact, he's going to do his best to get one. So far, the effect has just been that he's lost a lot of HP, as Zonky has gotten down, I believe, through the floor by Ions. Means Raid's in a 1 versus 4. He has a minute left. So there is a lot of time to go for this attempt if he either wants to just attempt the 1v4 or get his teammate up. But, I mean, look at what's happening right now. JJ and Co are so ready for this. Raid is scared of any potential flanks that might happen. And he wasted 20 seconds left trying to get that revive off. There isn't a lot of time for these two players to make this happen, especially without that diffuser in hand, as their health continues to tick down. Gunshot by gunshot, another 20 seconds have been thrown down the drain. Ions almost loses his life, but it's not quite enough. JJ has gone on to Safari, they've gone hunting! As we see Satex get one before Snake tags on for the last. And JJ and Co take things back yet again.
Yeah, and there's the momentum shift that you really were hoping for if you were BallSac Nation, and you really did not want to see from Karn and Co. That is not what you want going on to a match point. And it looks like we might be seeing servers and tellers, which is this weird kind of kind of split four that is so well known for this map. So if you are Karn and Co, you really need a round here. You cannot let any more slip through your fingers. And this is going to be something, if you are BallSac Nation, you have the advantage. You're feeling yourself. Everything is going right, in the words of you all. So now, going the split site, is this a more of a, oh, we're feeling confident, we can take whatever, or are we going to see something that we would never expect to see out of BallSac Nation?
I'd like it to be stated on record, by the way, that like the team being called BallSac Nation is really funny. However, I keep having to not say lines I think of because I realize how it'll sound, which has ruined play-by-play.
Yeah, you know, it's a little harder with the team names for sure.
Like, I can't say they rise to the top. They'll fire me.
Yeah, you know, just it's some rough things. Like, you can't say like, oh, things are getting a little hairy or anything like that. You know, it's just like some lines you can't say in order to make sure you can keep your job. But we are going to start this attack. It is a weird split bomb site, and they are taking the space early. Just constantly going, getting these hatches open. That's going to be really big for them if they want to win this round. You need to get the space. You need to get the verge. And you need to take space quick, especially on this site that as time goes on becomes harder and harder to attack.
Now, the benefit of this being a weird site is that it's both weird to defend and weird to attack, which means either team, depending on their familiarity, really could be operating at a significantly higher comfort level than the other. Just kind of depending on the cards that are played and who does what. Diddy's killed off by JJ on a run out there, and he's not punished. There is a lion call, but it's not going to lead to any sort of deaths. As Raid is in a solid position here, but you've already lost a player, and things are going to get a little tough from here on out, but it does look like there's a lot of pressure being exerted onto the side here. Zonky has gotten a refrag onto Satex, but Castle carries a lot less utility mid-round than the Striker does. And that's going to have to be contended with.
Yeah, and BallSac, they're kind of letting this first floor bomb site be kind of whatever. They're leaving tellers alone, and they're saying, okay, we're just going to play admin, we're going to play down, kind of spread around that server site, and really just say, okay, you're going to try and take this mid floor, we're going to give you the space for free, but we're just going to hit you from every single angle after that. And Karn and Co have to clear at least one of them out if they want to go for this.
Rival's gonna get a kill before Raid gets a refrag potentially. Ions is also on the ground, which could potentially give a lot of freedom towards the attackers, especially if Rival's killed off, but he's gonna get one. He gets a second as well. Rival might have single-handedly won this round for his teammates. He has to take out Zonky though, unaware of the Lion's position, potentially. They crawl back into a corner, tags him up a little bit. But the health disadvantage the Rival's fighting from is immense. Just trying to make anything happen, waste as much time as he can. But Zonky is gonna get that kill. He has to revive his teammate, however, which is going to waste a lot of time. They're both on such low HP too. And they don't have control of that diffuser. Sprinting down staircases. JJ gets the first, Ions gets the second. And JJ and Co, BallSac Nation, claim victory over Karn and Co.
Yeah, and it's just another titch knock in the tally mark. If you are JJ, another win over Karn and Co. It's starting to become a pattern where Karn and Co can't seem to find their way back, and JJ is going to keep having that last laugh against them.
Very well done to JJ and Co, or I keep wanting to call them that because of the logo, but no, in actuality, it's actually BallSac Nation, but I am one for the classics. We've had some interesting casts of JJ and Co in the past.
Yeah, and I definitely think we'll get plenty more as time goes on, as JJ will always seem to find his way back to his stomping grounds and always try and fight against Karn at any opportunity he can.
Well, you have another game coming up, although, you know, that works.
Rite of Passage is back and it is better than ever. Starting February 16th this year, you'll get to enter to try and get your chance to make XGS. With just a $50 entry fee, you get direct invite to our round robin stage where it is best of threes for every game, making sure every single chance, every game, every round has the most meaning possible. The best teams in the round-robin group stage will make it on to our single elimination playoffs, where they can fight for not only a chance for the lion's share of a $1,000 plus grand prize, but also a chance, a direct invite to the next season of XGS. Signups close February 13th, just 3 days before the event actually starts, so make sure you gather your teammates, friends, and sign up, because this is your chance to make a name in the scene. Are you ready? Find out here.